Welcome to the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education podcast series. I'm Dan Manson, and it's my pleasure today to have with me Gus Hinojosa. Gus is the president of the National Cybersecurity Students Association, which was formed under National Cyberwatch Center. Gus, welcome to the podcast.
Dan, thank you for having me on.
Can you tell me how the National Cybersecurity Student Association started?
Yeah, so the National Cybersecurity Student Association was a project of the National Cyberwatch Center, which the Student Association is about 3 years old. I've been the director for the Student Association for 2 years, and the founding director, Joel Portillo, had that position for 1 year.
What is the goal? What's your mission for having this organization?
So my goal is to help students along their cybersecurity journey as much as possible. So my goal is just to be very helpful and help students to be successful.
Now there's tremendous growth in the number of students in K-12 and college level aspiring to become cybersecurity professionals. But we're still really in the early stages of having this career progression. And most students in K-12 don't even know that they can major in cybersecurity and they can go to a school that is a National Center of Academic Excellence in cyber defense. Is one of your goals to educate the general population on where we are going with cybersecurity and what they can do if they develop the passion?
Yeah, so we do have monthly webcasts, and that's open to the public. And then within those webcasts, we have special speakers every month. We typically have them the third Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you go to cyberstudents.org and sign up for updates, you'll get those updates. But those webcasts are open to the public. We also have Q&A sessions once a month. They're a little bit random, but they're typically at 8 p.m. On a Tuesday. And that's also open to the public. And that Q&A session, what we do is we allow anybody to come in, and if they have any questions about cybersecurity, their education, their path, or any questions at all, we'll answer those questions. And once in a while, we'll have special speakers that participates with us to answer questions from the audience.
We'll be mentioning your website several times during this podcast, but let's mention it now. If someone wants to check out National Cybersecurity Students Association, where do they go?
So you would go to cyberstudents.org, and it'll direct you to the main page. And when you go on the main page, it'll have some information about us. On the About tab, if you click on that, it'll have information about the membership. It's $25 annual fee. It'll show all the benefits. If students would like to create a chapter of the Student Association, we also have information there too.
Tell us about your journey. How did you become interested in cybersecurity, and how did that lead to where you are today?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I actually did a presentation at the 2019 Community College Cyber Summit on that particular topic. So it was a student and director's journey cultivating the nation's largest cybersecurity student association. So initially, I was an industrial electrician. And then I was living in Florida, the housing market took a crash, the economy took a crash altogether, and I got laid off. The construction went to a halt, so I didn't work for a year. And then I moved back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then had a couple jobs, didn't pan out. I got laid off more. And then after that, I received a letter in the mail from it was a federal program called the Trade Adjustment Assistant Act. So they offered me some money to go back to school. I really love technology. I like building things. I like taking it apart. So I decided, do something that I like to do. So I was looking at colleges in my area in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and their programs. And the Information System Security Specialist program really stood out to me. So I joined and I enrolled.
What did you like about learning cybersecurity?
So I've been, since 2013, I received my associates as an Information System Security Specialist. a bachelor's in cybersecurity from UMUC, my master's in cybersecurity from UMUC, and then recently I just completed my MBA in May 2019. So if I look back on all the 6 years, what I like about it, I like every aspect of cybersecurity. So I like the programming, I like the networking, I like the A+ stuff, putting computers and hardware back together. I like the forensics part of it, taking hardware apart or doing a digital dig and going there and see what I can find. I like the policy side of it. I actually like writing, I read a lot of blogs too. So I really like everything about cybersecurity in general. I just have to stick with one area.
The field is much broader, I think, that those who are starting realize. You have so many choices about where you can go. You can go toward networking, toward software development, toward programming, toward forensics, toward compliance. Is part of what you do with National Cybersecurity Student Association is expose students to all those areas?
We do. So we expose them into those areas through our webcast. It might be a webcast on forensics, might be a webcast on penetration testing. In our portal, so once you join the Student Association, which is a $25 annual fee, in the portal we have a bunch of different resources that I've collected throughout the years, and my advisory board and my team have collected. So we do have a library in there, and it's full of resources. So we got free programs, free reading material, documentation for all these items or areas that Dan mentioned.
Now, I was going to get to this point in the podcast. Do you talk about competitions when you do your meetups with the National Cybersecurity Student Association, when you do your webinars and your activities?
Yeah, so in the portal, we have a folder that lists cybersecurity competitions. We have over 50 that have collected. They could be individual or they could be team competitions. And they're all over the world and they're online. And then we have some that are listed for conferences. And National Cyber League is one of the competitions listed there. Every month when we do our Q&A sessions, we always tell students about cybersecurity competitions, how it's important to be involved, why they should be involved, the skills that you're going to learn, hands-on skills that you're going to learn from joining these cybersecurity competitions. Myself, back in my associate's degree, I participated in National Cyber League, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot in a small amount of time.
Have you played in a cyber competition?
Yeah, so I participated in NCL, I participated in CCDC.
What do you find that playing does for you as a student with everything else that you're involved with? So you take classes, you get some hands-on in the classes, you do other extracurricular activities, but what role does playing in cyber competitions do in a student's progression?
So for myself, it helped me to sharpen my skills. So the coursework that I had in the classroom, I was able to apply those different courses in these competitions, because when you join these competitions, there's all types of areas where you're going to be competed in. So it really helped me to sharpen my skills. And then when you're doing these competitions too, what I did is I took extra time that I had to really dig into areas that I was unfamiliar with, whether there were puzzles in the competition or different type of tools that I needed for the competition. I would stay up all night and the time would just pass and I go, well, I got to go to sleep. So I use those, sharpening your skills. Mm-hmm. Also, teamwork building is very important. Everything doesn't really run smooth all the time, and it's going to be the same way when we get into the industry. Mm-hmm. So it's really great to build for team building. I was a bit shy when I first started. I would say some cyber professional students that are entering the field, our networking skills are not the best. And so being part of these competitions help us to build our networking ability and to break out of our shell and to really have better communication.
You mentioned clubs. What is the connection between National Cybersecurity Student Associations and existing student cyber clubs at schools?
So the National Cybersecurity Student Association has student chapters. To join a chapter is fairly free. It's free to join. You just need a faculty person, a president, a secretary and a treasurer, and then you would reach out to Dr. Vitaly Ford. His email is vford@cyberstudents.org. He could get you with the setup with the student chapter process. But a lot of times I find out when we're establishing new NCSA chapters, there are existing chapters on the college. And these existing chapters, they're wonderful. We get a lot of information from existing chapters, what they're doing. So we currently have, we have 2,500 students in the student association, about 510 colleges these students are at. So when we reach out to them about starting a chapter, they reach out to us, they have a slew of information for us that we could use, and we try to use that information and put it in our student chapter. But you could integrate NCSA student chapter into an existing chapter.
Excellent. What would you say are some of the most interesting talks you've had with your webinar series? What are a few that stand out as being valuable?
So a really popular one is what's resume robots. So when you're submitting a resume, this gentleman did a presentation. We didn't record it, but we couldn't. He asked not to. But when you submit your resume, it's oftentimes for students, we don't know what to put on there, how to be formatted, how to match the resume to the description for the job posting. So he did a webcast on how to beat the resume robots. Because when you submit your application, a lot of times it goes through some type of artificial software, and he was, the gentleman taught students on how to match your resume and lined up to the description. So that was pretty cool. A lot of students asked about resumes. They also are very interested in red teaming operations and penetration testing. That's the second big topic that students like.
Are you looking for volunteers to become involved in the National Cyber Students Associations?
Yeah, so currently we have an advisory board for industry, academia, and government who are professionals in the field. And then we also have student advisory board positions. So if anyone's interested in joining the NCSA Student Advisory Board, they have to be a student. They could reach out to me.
How would they contact you?
So my contact information is G, as in George, HINOJOSA @cyberstudents.org, or you could go to the website. If you go under the About tab, it shows everybody who's on our team, the advisory board members, and my contact information is on there also.
Excellent. And you go to a number of conferences here. We're at 3CS, the Community College Cyber Summit, and I've seen you at other conferences doing presentations on National Cyber Student Association. It's needed. We have so many schools that are getting involved in cybersecurity or have cybersecurity programs, and we do have a number of clubs out there, but we have nothing at the national level that kind of pulls it together. You are doing that. You are providing an umbrella for students to get to know what is going on in this field, what are the best practices to get involved in this field, and I really think you're doing a service. Clubs have, in other areas, there are other academic clubs, they're the Greek clubs, but they also have, I think, national bodies above them. Is your goal to provide that national body that ties clubs together in some way?
Yeah. Our goal is to tie all the student clubs that are out there and be part of the student association, because we have a lot of great resources. If we could push that information to all the colleges and universities across the nation, it's going to really help students be more successful in their cybersecurity journey and their path. But also, it's also going to help. it's going to set them at a faster pace to get where they need to be. Because a lot of times when I was going, through my associates to my bachelor's, I had to go online, search for resources. I didn't know about professional chapters. I didn't know, how to network with professionals. I didn't know a lot of these things, and if I had an organization to help me do that, it's going to fast forward me to success. So that's what we're trying to do at the Student Association, to help them to rapidly push them forward.
And you're really helping two groups, the schools that actually have a club, but there's still a lot of schools out there that don't have clubs or thinking about forming a club, and you provide a way for them to tap into the national community before they're able to have their own club really up and running.
Yeah, so what's great about conferences like the Community College Cyber Summit, my3cs.org, the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education Conference, both of these conferences have a ton of faculty that are attending, and it's really nice that I could attend these events because for folks who don't know about the Student Association, I get to do one-on-one sessions with them and let them know about the Student Association, our initiatives. I get to know what folks are doing at their college. So at NICE is a great conference. I really love it. I talk to a lot of professors. Some people know about it, some people don't. So I get to engage with a lot of colleges that I necessarily would not be able to engage.
What are some of the questions that you get from students who are just starting in the field? What do they want to know? What are some of their concerns?
So their main concern is how do I obtain an entry-level job into cybersecurity? And it's really hard. It's really a tough nut to crack.
So what's your advice? Network? Make connections?
Yes.
Learn from students that are in these associations and be able to connect to the employers to learn what the employers want? That's
exactly it, Dan. So I always tell students, the best way to get an internship, to find a job, is to network. Join professional organizations like ISSA.org, ISACA.org, and InfraGard. These are all three great organizations. They're almost in every city. Every month they have a networking session, and they have like an hour or two presentation, and you can network after. So it's a really great way where students can engage professionals. When I first started going to these professional chapter meetings, I was a bit shy. I didn't know nobody. My networking skills were on the low end. And the more and more I attended these professional chapter meetings, I felt more comfortable. I felt more comfortable, talking to people. And the more I went, the more members knew me, and the more I talked to them about my story. So telling your story, what you're doing. So if you're at school taking these courses, and participating in cybersecurity competitions, when you tell your story to these professional chapter members, they see the passion in you when you talk about this. And then that's right there is the best thing, because they're gonna want you. They're gonna see that passion, they're gonna want you, and they're gonna offer you an internship, or they're gonna offer you a job, or maybe tell you when you're done with your school, here's my card, I'll have this job for it, apply for it, or they may even tell you, I'll have this job, waiting for you. So networking is the best way and the fastest way to get a job.
I remember when I was first trying to go into this field, and I was going to professional association meetings and didn't know anybody, and walking up to someone was so hard for me. I felt so awkward. I felt like I didn't belong. Mm-hmm. And I really believe what National Cyber Students Associations does and what the student clubs does is help the students feel that sense of belonging. So I'm really grateful to see you do this at a national level and connecting with the local clubs on campuses. You're making a huge difference in giving students a feeling that they are welcome in this community and that they are needed here. Thank you, Gus.
Thank you, Dan, for having me on.
This has been the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education podcast series.